Hello humans, welcome back to Powerwash Simulator. We're going to get right into it. We're on the gnome fountain. Now, I was thinking of ways of doing it, and I was like, do something cool, like go from the top and down and it. But then, like, in the end, I just decided I'm going to go around doing it that way. Like, I'm doing exactly the way I first did it, and it's just because I want to take it to appreciate the, appreciate all of the nice aesthetic. That is this. You know, it's just, I think it's quite nice to have such a circle. Oh, family to go home. I'll be back in a second. Apologies, I just started. Hello, how is everybody? I'm back from Michael. Sorry, not Michael. God, my brain sometimes doesn't English at all to a level of intelligence that is depressing to see. But yeah, hope you're all good. I hate what this is. How absolutely weak this is of a tool. Well, I'm not going to keep track of time. It's just we gotta hope I finish this before dinner comes, because then it's deciding, do I let this just record me doing nothing for an extended period of time? Yeah, that's totally what I would do, because I refuse to make it. The fountain is too. Especially after, and the more specific reason is not after the hell I went through to make it that I did the mini golf in one go. I refused to do the fountain, which is easier, in less than one go when it's such the scale difference. This is easier by far, even if I have to use worse tools. And I refuse to basically accept submission on that idea. No. Gnome's gonna be cleaned, gonna clean the gnome. It's harder to clean the gnome because I don't know where things are. And it's hard with such a sucky tool. It's not that bad, to be honest, especially since there's not like rust or anything on the gnome. Like if they made the gnome be rusty, I'd be quite depressed, as it would be quite hard. Whereas like that, it's like, it's very specifically that, right? It's very clear that's gonna have rust on it, and it's very consistently that's got rust idea to it. There's nothing on it that's like blatantly saying secretly it's rust and that's why you can't finish cleaning, is that small like channel part has a piece of metal in it and it's hard to discover, so you didn't figure out why it just wasn't working. Whereas like this, it's like you can tell, it's rust, I need to do thing. Whereas like I feel like you could, especially on like the gnome, you could sneakily have like, oh, the belt has rust, and like, yeah, you know, it's like you wouldn't you wouldn't figure it out. Well, it's nice and quiet, to be honest. So I turned the sound down, and I don't know if that's something which impacts on here, like if it's dependent on the audio settings or my actual audio, if which one of those is the most influential for what happens. I don't know which it is, so this could be extremely quiet to all of you. Which is because my hearing's gotten a bit better and I've adjusted to quieter sounds, so I've decided to turn it down a notch so that it's not so loud that my family can hear it if my door is open and my headphones are not on my head. Because that kind of thing is pretty for my brain, to be honest, and I just don't feel comfortable knowing I'm being so loud. So yeah, if you can barely hear anything, apologies. But at the same time, I'm not making it any louder. Or at least I could in the settings, but it's not happening. You haven't seen the new Overlord? Like Season 4? I'm loving it so much. This is such a cool anime. It's one of my favorites. Like, my favorite has been and always probably will be, at least for the time being, is that time I was reincarnated as a slime. I'm gonna geek out, by the way, guys, so warning. Harry gonna start talking about anime. You've been warned. The anime talk's the beginning. Anyone who's still here knows that or decided to do something against their will. I don't know. Don't know how to explain you still being here if you didn't want to hear about it. But I mean, I love that Time as As a Slime. That is my favorite anime. It's just such a good one. It has such a special place in my heart. I love Rimuru. He's such a cool dude. And it's just so fun. Whereas like Overlord, I loved Overlord, but like the first season really had a special place in my heart. It wasn't I disliked the second season, I just didn't like the direction it was going in. But then they came in doing season like 3 and I was like, ooh, the direction was going even further away from what I was doing. I was getting quite unhappy with it. But then they came in with season 4, the one they just came in and, oh, I'm so happy. Everything I was worried about losing, because like it was one of those, I felt like if the direction was going in a way I thought it was, I was going to actually really dislike Overlord. But no, it didn't go in that way. It's turned 180 from what I was worried about. It's now, I'm not worried anymore. I'm just so happy. It's everything I wanted. I'm just so happy with it. I'm loving Overlord. Like, it went from being one of those, it is one of my top 10, to this is definitely my second most loved anime. And it's just because that time really held a special place for me, and I really loved it, and it's like, especially because that's what got me into the isekai world, of what an isekai was. And like, yeah, I just really it held a special place in that idea. It was one of those first introduction to anime, basically, animes I watch, and even now I still really like it. And it's like I've never really not liked what I've seen through them, like their character development and all that. I've always been quite favourable to how they've done things in it, and so that's another reason why I'm very happy about it. Was yeah, it's just I was so happy because I've just always really liked the characters and how the characters have been developing. And it's like, yeah, they had sad things that I really wish didn't happen, but I was okay with it because I felt like the character development was equivalent to what it needed to be. And because I'm not going to be super spoilery, but yeah, I'm not going to complain with anything they've done. If anything, the only things I would complain about were like, when like it feels like they've introduced the character to other characters and they feel like they have that really cool, unique story, but they refuse to elaborate on it further. And you don't know if it's you're the problem and you haven't seen like a special episode or something, or if like that isn't something you find in the anime, or like it's something very specific to like maybe the manga or something, and you're like, you feel like you're missing something greatly. Because like, I'm getting that feeling with a certain thing in that time, and it's really upsetting me because I'm like, it sounds like a cool story from what the hell I've heard, or at least it's like, it's a story I'd want to know, but I don't. And I can't figure it out. It's like a Deadpool story where it's like, you can figure out there's a story to be had, but that is all you can figure out. There is no other information even related to it. They bring it up and you can basically take pieces together. There's something going on. But then it's like, yep. And because that thing went on, this everything is good. And it's like, what do you, hey, say what it was. And, then they just like look at you with a very enthusiastic smile and say, no. And as you try to refute it, they kind of just leave. And so you can't really do anything about it. I'm saying how I feel in a very, very specific way, okay? But yeah, it's still my favourite, is that time. And then if we're going to go into details about what I just complained about, Overlord hits that further, is in Season 2, they have a group of, I'm going to say they just have a group that is like a main part of the story for Season 2, like the first half. And like they have like, there's this cool story about like how this person got a weapon and like why they're seen as such a special person in like their culture, but like they aren't going to give us the cool adventure that is that story. They just talk about it, and I'm like, I feel sad as I feel like they've given such a cool backstory that they refuse to have us see, and I feel like the backstory is it just sounded so cool, like one of those things you really just want to see, but they never show it. It's just like, it's like they've just given you filler text, but that filler text was really, they put a lot of effort into the filler text, and I'm like, I'd have rather them not put effort into the filler text than put this much effort in and then not make it you can see the cool adventures they talked about. Unless they are planning to. If they are planning to make it that they show those adventures, then all these complaints disappear. But I don't think they are, and it doesn't look like they're going to. And for Overlord specifically, and also because of what their group is, no, if they haven't done it already and they aren't planning to make a special season thing or like a thing to talk about it, it's not happening. Which for me is quite sad. Because I think it's such a cool... It sounds like it would be so cool. Sorry, I had to correct myself because saying it's cool doesn't work because they don't have it, they're just talking about it. I'm salty about it, right? It's probably one of my only things in Overlord in the context of story that I'm really sad about, is that it feels like they built this group, they built all the story for this group, but then they refuse to show you the group as in like their story, and I'm like, but why though? Why even give me any of it then? Like they did it for the express purpose of making me feel sad that I can't I can't learn any more about it without like going somewhere apart from the anime. Because that's one of my things. I try to make it a point. If I'm watching an anime and I'm really enjoying the anime, I will not read it. I will not read it at all. I will not do manga for that anime. It's like that time I only know what I've seen through the anime. So anything that I can see through or like context that's like somewhat similar to like stuff I should learn, I will not have learned it. That's the key strong point here, right? Is that I am completely in the dark on what's going to happen for everything unless it was given in the anime. And I feel like though yeah, you lose some things by doing that. To be honest, I think it's worth it for at least what I've experienced, as it's because plot twists really hit you and you only know what you're told. But then again, it's one of those, some of my complaints here about like not giving us the good story about a character, that might solely be because of what I've just done, where it's like, oh, they do give it to you in the manga, and it's like, oh, I wouldn't know. Because I'm very divided. I also, if I'm reading a manga and it becomes an anime, I normally won't watch the anime. And this is more specifically because, at least through my experience, and it's probably one of those, I will always look at the anime, but most of the time I don't end up watching it, is that I preferred looking at the manga. It's just, it's hard to see the characters. One is it feels sometimes it just feels kind of rushed on the story, or it feels like they're squishing too much in at once, and you feel like, the pace should have gone slow. It'd be like the first Hunger Games and the second Hunger Games all happening at the same time, and you're like, whoa, 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 calm. That's the closest I can get about how I feel about it. So yeah, I hope that makes sense to at least someone. And it also at the same time, sometimes you can just tell, like, they failed to 3D their characters. Like, it wasn't like a fail where it's glitching or anything. It's just, you feel like they've lost something in how they got 3D. You feel like some of the things that made the character look visually appealing and visually cool to look at just kind of stopped existing once the character became 3D, and you're like, what's going on? Because you can't understand why you feel like that. But yeah, I hope everyone is enjoying my long ass talks about anime, manga, and all that. This might be one of the things I talk about mainly for this video, and this is one of those, if I had felt comfortable enough, this is probably what I would have talked about through every single other Powerwash video I ever did, because I can talk for a long time about this. Like, this will be a very different video for most of you, because most of you would have come here expecting nice silent powerwashing, whereas you've come to Harry speaking, where I'm going to speak a lot, and you're going to get a lot more of my voice than you ever have in any of the videos I've done so far. And it's going to be strange to you, because you can't understand what made this one different, except for the fact I'm talking about anime and manga. But yeah, I'm enjoying so many things. There's so many fun ones, like fun things to read as well. Like, there's so much to enjoy. I feel like there's so much like so many worlds that you're so happy you got to discover when it comes to manga and all that as well. Is it's just, you're just happy that you got to find them. You're proud of yourself for finding such a cool thing. And yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm just always so happy because I'm like, I always feel so much joy reading things. And like, I'll say this, I really like isekais and reincarnations kinds, which you might notice from the two I was talking about. But like, I also like when it's like, and these are more through reading because I find them less in anime format, is when you like reincarnate as a villain more villainous, like those ones, which are normally for like from the book I read, or like the Otome game. Those, like, I really like those. Like, I'm finding a lot of joy. There's some of them where I really don't, and it's because I don't like how the character like goes and stuff like that. But I really like them. There's a lot of them I really like, and I also really like ones of like, and I'm trying to say it where it's like, it's not because it's not the only thing I like, right? So it's like I have to be careful of how it, but like the kind of revenge kind of one where it's like you come back in time and become stronger and stuff like that. But in saying that, I don't like too much of it because it does feel like it's like, oh look, it's the same idiot villain, haha, same exact villain type that's just stubbornly, what? Why is this happening? Evil things, yada yada yada. Like, I feel like that I get hit by it too much. And I feel like the other reason why exactly what I just said is such a relevant thing is so many times it's like you get really kind of, it's like, ho ho, now that you've become the villain, the main protagonist has been taken over by someone else and they have become evil, or they were always evil, like things like that, right? Like, yeah, I like it every now and then, but man, they can have some really good evil ones where it's like, I really hate them, and it's like, yeah, good on you, you made me really hate the villain, or whatever you want to call it for those ones, but at the same time, I don't like it because sometimes I actually just get so fed up with how much I dislike them that it makes me not want to continue reading because I'm just kind of bothered by it. It's like it's no longer this meeting hatred in me, and it's just a very I'm bothered. I kind of just want to stop reading it because I'm not enjoying it because I'm just getting so annoyed at the evil deeds that are committed, and I'm like, chill out, basically. If I was to give it into a Lamex context. I think I said that word wrong, but I don't care. But yeah, I want to keep talking about stuff like that, and I'll talk about games too. Tom just showed me Deep Rock's gotten all cool, and so I'm excited to re-continue playing that. Probably won't record. Oh right, the reason I haven't been streaming at all is because of the fact that and this is a sad thing for me, is that because my Mars changed her jobs, I no longer have a free second monitor that I got from said job, and so because of that I'm streaming is not an option because I can't check the feed while I'm also streaming, which is something I've used to make it I can't see if the stream is working or that because I'm a very anxious guy, and so because of that I'm very, yeah, it's just a tragedy. And I'm just not going to be really streaming much. And like, if I stream, it'd be quite conditional, I believe. But yeah, aside from that, I might start doing my RP, the TSRP. I might start doing it without streaming at all. I just do it because I feel like I haven't done it in months solely because I haven't been able to stream and the stress of needing the idea of streaming. And so I thought maybe not even just record it, just exist, just have fun. I can just be there for my fun story that I will have by myself. Because it's not like anyone ever actually watched me doing it, right? I had like Elijah appear sometimes, but that was it. There was nothing else. No one ever showed up on my stream, so I was like, it's not like it's a big loss. I had more people show up on my CFE stream, which also went badly. But yeah, so it's like I've just been deciding, like thinking about stuff on that lines. Yeah. Alright, on a separate note, man, I'm really waiting for No Game No Life to... I've waiting for it for so long, and I'm just so... I really want it. And on another note, and this is a general opinion, how many people out there is always sad when like the main character in a show, the person who voices it changes. And the reason now I'm really saying about this is one of my favorite animes that's always been quite key, and I've been meaning to watch the second season, but I've been struggling ever since the first episode, is Rise of the Shield Hero, because of the fact it I might be my imagination, but I don't believe it is. The main character's voice changed, and it feels like whoever the hell is now voicing it is just trying to replicate the old voice instead of having the uniqueness of theirs. And because I feel like the reason I like a lot of the characters' voices is that they have a unique part of the person voicing them, and like you can see that in stuff like Rimuru and stuff like that, where it's like you could then see other characters and you could hear something kind of similar to what you hear from what Rimuru does, like the laugh and like how they laugh. And there can be very distinct things like that, but I feel like you don't see that in at least what I saw. So like there's a chance that it's just because of what I see, like because I've only seen like the first 1 or 2 episodes of the second season, and it might just be I lose that feeling after doing it for a bit, but I'm not doing it yet because I'm just very hesitant about that. And second, and now this has only become a problem for me recently because it was never really a big bother, but it kind of is a big bother to me now, is does anyone dislike it when like you have a good anime? And now I'm going to use it the exact one. I'm not going to be at all like reserved about my opinions here, but The Devil's Become a Part-Timer. I'm pretty sure it is what it's called, but if it's not, then most people have figured out what one I'm talking about. But they've completely changed the art style. Like they've made it more. I'm going to say it, and it's weird because I don't know if I even believe what I'm saying, but they made it more anime, is basically what I feel. They made it more three-dimensional anime, and I hate it. To be honest, it feels like it's really lost all of its cool art style, which is why I really love, even more why I love Overlord, is now because I can really appreciate it, especially going into season 4, is how they have kept their nice, cool art style. They haven't like changed it at all, even when they could, because they have more stuff, because they're more funded, because of how well received it was. How they didn't then make everything like all like I'm just gonna say all like popsy and stuff like that, and more and like I feel like because like a lot of the cool graphics that you could see specifically in like A Devil's Part-Time is gone. I can't see it anymore. I don't have the same hit. I don't know why. I didn't feel as much joy while watching it, I guess I would say. It feels like it's really lost something that was quite important to it, in my opinion. And it's quite a shame. But that is, again, just my opinion, so anyone who thinks otherwise, sure. It's your opinions are your opinions. I am not in control of your opinions, and what you think is what you think. So please don't ever feel offended by what I say, because there's no point. What I think and what you think are different. I don't see why they should be the same. Alright, but I'm going to say something which will get a certain group of people wanting to kill me. I like Sword Art Online. To be honest, I like Sword Art Online. They bring in some cool topics, especially when looking at, and like even I'm going to say the most recent season, even though it's like it's not really recent anymore. I really like Sword Art Online. It's just, I like the topic, I like the idea. And like people are like, oh yeah, but like everything is like that. And it's like, oh yeah, all of these oh no, such a stereotype. But it's like, my problem with that opinion, right, is that the stereotype is that it is like, oh, so many are like this. But the problem is, from at least my genuine research back in the time when I really cared about what people's opinions were and were really upset at how harsh the critiquing was of it, how I realized they were like, oh, but it's such a stereotype because so many things are like this. But the problem is, most of them originated from the inspiration from Sword Art Online, and my brain broke in the idea. Oh, that's why it's so similar, because it's basically been inspired by. I found it quite funny, and I was a bit distraught by the idea that all of the complaints came from the idea that it was similar because it was inspired by it. I think it was very funny, because like, Shoreline, to be honest, people are like, oh, getting stuck in the game and dying from the game, such a common thing now. But like, to be honest, at least from my knowledge, that was where that started. I couldn't find any other older one like of any groups that I at least could find where it was like that idea. That idea was new. That was a new idea to the anime and manga community, to at least my knowledge. At the very least for anime, maybe probably not for manga, because I feel like manga has a very strong authority in how you can find everything in it. I feel like it has a very strong authority about that, where you're not going to not be able to find a type. You just have to try hard, and sometimes you have to give up, and then you'll randomly find it, later, and you'll feel happy. But because of that, I was very. It's one of those. I like Sword Art Online, but it doesn't change, man. I get judged hard from people. But like, I promise, when you judge, when people say it's a bad anime, right? Okay. If you've watched the anime and say it's a bad anime, okay. When you've only heard it's a bad anime and say it's a bad anime and say like the story's not good and it's not enjoyable, when you haven't watched it, so you don't actually know that. Like, anyone who makes their opinion of others' opinions without actually having any, like, I'm going to be very blunt about it. That doesn't actually have any foundation to their opinion. I'm not going to agree. I'm going to be quite blunt about it. I don't think it's right to solely off other people saying it's bad in that context of like things like entertainment, where it's that. I don't feel like you have the right to judge someone for liking it when you yourself don't actually have any authority on if it's even good, because you don't know anything. Because I just think I refuse to watch JoJo's. It's not because it's bad. I just don't want to watch JoJo's. But in saying that, because I have not seen JoJo's, I won't be like, oh, you're watching JoJo's? Oh, that sucks. Ew. Why would you watch that of all things? Like, I would never do that because of the idea. I respect for the fact, one, I have no way of doing that opinion. It's like, I've never seen JoJo's. I just know it's like, it's hard for me to follow JoJo's. It's just a hard show for me to track, basically. It's hard for me to follow JoJo's. It's confusing to me, so I just decided I wasn't going to do it. Same with Fate. I was going to watch Fate. I watched like a certain season of Fate, but then I could not figure out how the hell to figure out which seasons of Fate you watch next, and so I gave up on watching Fate entirely, because I refused to watch them without comprehending what the hell the order was for Fate. And so that's the reason why I didn't ever watch Fate. Because I watched the first season, I think it's the first season of Fate, and then I just, I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find out what the hell is next. And so I gave up on that. But yeah, there's things I won't watch for certain reasons. Like, I refuse to watch One Piece. There's a lot of reasons, one of which is from what I've seen of One Piece, it's not one I would enjoy. And I have seen a bit of One Piece because of my brother. I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that I've now known about One Piece. Because it's like, it's not bad, but it's like watching SpongeBob to me now. It's like, I used to watch it. Old me would have watched it. Old me would have been ho ho ha ha. But me now says, how? How's this funny? Like, that's just how my brain sees it now. Like, especially when looking at One Piece, I can't. I'm struggling. I'm struggling to enjoy it. That doesn't mean I'm going to say it's bad for anyone else to watch it. Anyone who likes One Piece, cool. Good for you. I'm just not one of them, okay? and so I don't want you to push on me. And I actually have more than one reason for not watching One Piece. It's not just that. I don't like watching things where it feels like it's a hole I can go down and I'll never get back up. In the context of I'm a binge watcher. If I start watching an anime, and I mean new anime, normally, I've changed. But this was anime me. This was back when I was a lot more of an otaku than I am now. Like I would say, I'm actually more of an otaku now, but I was more of like a conscious otaku then. It's like I had made a point to what I was watching and stuff like that. Whereas now it's like I read a lot of manga and I watch a lot of anime. Like I feel like now I'm more of a normie when it comes to it, where I'm just like, yeah, it's more of just how I live. Like it's a part of my entertainment now. Whereas it used to be one of those I had to put effort in to make it my entertainment. Not because it was bad, just because yeah, I just struggled with it. I don't know why. I think it was just because I wasn't good at finding things. I didn't understand how to find good animes and mangas and that, and so it was like that whole of what was like were recommended, whereas like then I found out words like isekai and all that, and now because I understand more basically the anime and manga dictionary, I can find the things I want more, and that's such an important idea. But yeah, with that because like yeah, I'd say back then it was very I was very if I'm going to watch something, I will watch it to the end, and I will do it. I won't start. I was very one-minded of the idea. If you start watching something, you watch that, nothing else, until you finish watching that. And so I was very scared of the big shots like Naruto, not One Piece. I don't think it was that big. Naruto, Dragon Ball, and like One Piece, because they were just so big, and I was like, if I start reading this or watching this, sorry, I won't get to the end. I won't. I won't. It's too big. They're too big. And so that's why I didn't watch those ones, quite more specifically. Was I just couldn't. I just was very. I was scared of how big they were. I was intimidated by the amount of. Yeah, just sheer amount of content it had. And so I went away from those. On that note, because I'm going to keep talking non-stop and no one's going to be able to stop me, so ha ha ha. Talking will be an inevitability that you can't, or you can ignore me, but if you ignore me while still listening to me rant about you being able to ignore me, I think there's a problem. Why are you watching this video? Or why are you still here after I gave a warning? You shouldn't be here if you don't think you're going to like it. Which means that you didn't listen to that warning. Which is my question is why? Why didn't you listen? But my first anime I ever watched, and this is before I actually knew what anime was Yamada, I think that's his name, Yamada and the Seven Witches. My first anime. Funnily enough, I found it on YouTube and like I started watching it and I really liked it. Um, yeah, it's somewhat weird to think that the first anime I ever watched was basically on the topic of you kiss to use superpowers. Like, yeah, it was pretty, to be honest, looking back at it, it's a pretty weird place to start off in anime. Because I don't see any other place where that is how a power, which in like body swapping and all of those ideas through kissing. I was like, very, yeah, very. Looking back on it, it's pretty funny that that was the first anime I ever watched. But I was. And like, yeah. Oh man, this was back when I had that naive brain where I thought English was like the only language in the world. And so when things were being dubbed, I did just, and like then there was my little brain just couldn't comprehend why. And looking back, uh, I think it's cute how naive I was. I think it was very cute. I'm no longer naive. I'm dead inside, I'd say. But I'm not unhappy for being inside. I'm just aware of it. I'm just aware of the sadness inside my soul. So there's no need to be at all sad about it, because I'm accepted it. But yeah, I'm very happy, to be honest. It's like, to be honest, if I'm looking after like all these newer animes that have come out in the past few years, it's definitely dropped, because it was always one of those. I loved it. It was a very special one to me. But now, I love it. It's always going to be special for being my very first anime. But that doesn't mean it's one of my favorites anymore. Like, it was, and I've like always really liked it. But it's one of those. Its place has never changed in my heart. It was always. It hasn't gone down. It's like, even after watching everything else, it's still at the same place, and it's like the same level in my heart. Problem is, a bunch of new animes that I've watched have taken a higher place in that there. Like, their ranking has been just placed higher. Well, some have been placed lower, but that's a very recent, like, for example, The Devil's a Part-Timer. It's solely just, I don't like its new graphics. I probably still like it, I probably still will, but as it is now, no. To be honest, no. I'm not enjoying it as much as I did for the first one. And that's just, yeah, I feel sad about it. I feel like I've lost something I really enjoyed, and I'm just very disappointed. And I think that's why it's dropped so much harsher than I think it would have normally. It's just because I wasn't expecting it. Then there's other ones where, like, brain needs to develop its words, but it's trying too hard and it's stalling. Anyone like have that thing where they watch an anime, they enjoy the anime, they hope, for God's name, that the anime's voices don't change. And then, like, and this is going back to Shield Hero, being blunt, 90% of the voices, most of the important voices change, and you're like, oh, why? Whereas, like, the difference is, like, the idea, the main character's voice never changes. And then, like, the second characters where it's like, and for this one specifically, it's like Raftalia and that Fila, where all their voices are the same. And it makes it hurt that much more. Because you're like, eh. And it's like, yeah, we kept all these voices perfect for you. Except this one. And, like, we had to make the cut cost and stuff like that. And, like, I don't know the situation, like, the voice actor might have died or something like that, I don't know. So, please don't take anything I'm saying as, like, being insensitive for, like, the idea, let's say the reason the voice actor's change was death or something. I don't mean to try to be insensitive about that. But it was just a very... yeah, I was sad about it. And then there's other ones where they had the most perfect voice actor, and then they change it, and I'm like, it's just sad because you know they're never gonna, that even if the new voice actor's a good actor, they're never going to match up to the spectacle that was the first one. Good one for that example is, let's see, there's two. One is in That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime is King Garzel Strona. No, I'm thinking wrong ones. God. Sorry, my brain just thought Gaza from Overlord when that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, Dwarf King. I'm just going to say Dwarf King because my brain, even if it was Gazeth, which I don't think it is, I think I'm getting my animes mixed up because I'm not used to talking so much about different animes. So, please forgive me if I mix things up. But, he had a very cool deep voice and, like, kind of like, yeah, it feels like a young adult took his place. I'm being blunt. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just, it felt like he had such a perfect one where it's one of those, he was one of those characters, his presence gets known. He is like the king's authority. When he exists, you know, and it feels like there's power behind anything he says and anything he does. And, like, yeah, I just kind of lost that a bit, in my opinion. It feels a bit like it's like it lost some of that power. It didn't feel as, and he didn't have a voice that felt to be the voice of authority, basically. So I'm trying to say it didn't have the feeling of that to it, which is fine. Not going to complain too much. That one was an okay. You just notice it and you're like, huh. You're a bit mopey about it. But then there's ones where it's like, it's bad. At time, sorry, no, ReZero 2. What's his name? What's his name? What's his name? Surely I can remember his name. The old dude with swords. It's not Sebas from Overlord for anyone who even mentioned that name. But good guess. They feel similar in my opinion. But yeah, I'll just say old sword master dude from ReZero. It feels like it's like an adult dried their throat and then tried to do an old man voice when the problem was that to begin with, the old man voice that was already there was a nicer deep one where it's like it wasn't actually, it was one of those old men with power where it's like they feel like they have strength to what they say, they have strength to their voice. What they say is a wisdom that you should remember, it's wisdom you should use. And yeah, it feels like the person didn't comprehend what they were trying to do. And so it just went bad, basically. That's basically what my opinion is. It was just like very, I mean, no offense by what I'm saying, but it was an ooh. It was an ooh. That's what I'll say. It was like you hear the voice and you're like, yeah, stop. Let's see, what else can I talk about? Does anyone have like those animes where it's like, they love the anime, like it was such a nice anime to watch and all, but like, once you've seen the ending, you can never watch it again. Like it's one of those, you can't watch it once you've learned about it. Like once you've learned its ending and know everything. It's actually really hard to re-watch it again. And my one, which was like, even to this day, it was a good one, and I've always considered rewatching it, but every time I've like, my subconscious has rejected the idea to ever rewatch it. It's Darling with a Franxx. It was an amazing anime, and I loved it so. Well, I loved and hated it so, because I hated its stuff like I hated its ending and stuff like that. I was very sad about things like that, but like, I loved it still. It was an amazing anime, but once you know with it, you just can't watch it again. As just one of those, I think once you've learned the secrets of it, you no longer can watch it because those secrets are what made you keep watching, was needing to find out those secrets, and now you've found them, and it's like, it's very hard. It would be like doing an escape room where you actually already know everything, so it's just you putting in like the pins that you already know. And I was like, I would find it very hard to do that because like there's no fun. I couldn't enjoy it. There's no way I could enjoy something like that. And so yeah, that's basically what my opinion is on that idea. Was that there's a few like that, and it's like, but then there's the ones where it's like, oh no, I think it might just be it doesn't connect with me as well, and this one might just be because I'm not as much of a horny individual as most. Is Kunosuba. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was cool. It was a cool anime. I can't bring myself to watch it again. I don't know why. I just can't. It might just be because I'm not horny. I don't know. And don't take offense at me saying that. No one can deny what I've said. And I don't care if, like, you're saying I'm being judgmental, but, like, if you've seen it, you can't debate it. You can say not everyone watches it because of that, but you can't debate what I'm saying because you know for a fact that is why a chunk of people would watch it, and you also know that that is basically why they made it. Sorry, not made it. They say it out loud. They make it as a joke. So it's not like anyone can deny it because they accepted it themselves, making it that much more of a battle. But like, you can still watch it without being on it. I think it's just I couldn't. It didn't click with me, and I was just like, no. Like, I might watch it again, to be honest. It's like, it wasn't bad. And like, yeah, characters are interesting, but yeah, I don't know. I just didn't click. But it could, again, just be because I'm not horny about it. Oh yeah, Konosuba was one of, at least Konosuba Season 2, was one of the very few animes I buckled down and, like, watched it completely subbed instead of waiting for a dub. And one of the reasons was I got really impatient and I didn't even know if they were going to be dubbed. And second was, yeah, I mean, no offense by this, but one of the reasons I don't like subbed is because I get too focused on the reading and so I lose all emotional connection. So it's like I ruin my immersion at every single point in turn because I'm a slow reader, so I have to pause. But no offense, but yeah, my immersion didn't. I didn't need my immersion as much for Konosuba Season 2. Like, I didn't need it. It wasn't like super. There wasn't scenes that really made me feel required to have that like connection to it. So it was like very, yeah, nonchalant about it. It was very. That's just how it was for me, I guess. But yeah. Let's see, what other ones can we talk about? Does anyone have that one where it's like, and it's like, this is a term which can somewhat be used for Overlord, but it's like, after this newer season, it no longer, in my opinion, it does no longer fit it. It doesn't do it justice if you call it through that. Is the kind where it's like, the main character which you enjoy is a total villain, but sometimes when they do a villain section, you don't want to accept it. You really don't want to accept it because you don't want your boy that you love to be a villain, and you don't want them to do such mean and evil things, but they totally still do it anyway. And you're like, no, but you have to accept it. Yeah, that's basically my experience with Overlord, but yeah, I like those too. I think they're interesting. But my reasons for it might totally be different. Is that just like I value, and man, I'm going to sound really bad for saying it with in this context, but I value the characters, my enjoyment of characters more than the morality of the evil things the characters are committing. Yeah, that sounds really bad, but at the same time, sadly, not 100% wrong either, is it? Because like some of the villain, like the reincarnated as a villain ones, they really are a villain. They really are a villain. They quite much are an evil, horrible person that you really shouldn't be supporting, and you really should be not looking at them. You should be very worried about the fact that they're a character which you support and think is cool. Like, yeah, I totally have a bunch of those characters. But like, yeah. I think my entertainment is a dangerous thing of me choosing the funny or me choosing the sane. And I think it's the problem is that I'm torn on what to pick a lot of the time. Take that as you will, but I'm being as blunt as possible. So yeah, I don't want to ever hear it later. But I will say, my moral compass is a question of experiments that I normally win. My moral compass normally wins. It's very rare it doesn't, and it doesn't ever lose on extreme things. This is very, should I be mean to this person, like say something mean or like pretend for something and that just to see the reaction. That's as far as my moral compass will normally go. I will never hurt people physically and mentally, but I'll think of it and I'll never do it. My moral compass is it's always active because I'm a horrible person who always thinks of really bad things to do. So yeah, if it helps answer any questions about my opinions on that, you know, for later, this can be used against me. Hopefully not in a court of law. But, yes, it still can be used against me. How far am I? Okay. Don't know how much I gotta go. I think dinner's gonna be ready soon, which means you guys are gonna get a fun, maybe like hour of screen existence while I'm gone having dinner. Or I might, solely because I feel responsible for doing this. I might ask them to let me have a taste of it to see if I like it and then eat in here. So I can do this while playing. I don't think I can play this while eating actually. It'd be me commentating while eating. So you would get some nice ASMR of me eating because I know for a fact this mic will pick it up tragically and to an uncomfortable degree to some. And to me too. To be honest, some of how much it can pick up of my breathing and my like spitting and that and gulping, I am actually quite like you might not know this because you're too busy getting annoyed at how loud it is in the mic. But no, I get quite uncomfortable when I've re-watched to check how loud I am and I hear myself like that and I'm like hearing my swallowing in and it makes me uncomfortable knowing I'm hearing me, that it's me that I'm hearing. But yeah. So yeah, if this goes bad, that there's a chance that you'll be in deadly silence for like maybe half an hour, followed by then me coming back and continuing, or you might even get me narrating while eating or something like that and doing nothing else but that. Yay, that's done now, so now it's going on to, let's see, the next phase will be going up to, let's see, how much of this is connected, okay. Okay, no, I'm just going to do the floor first. Well, like generally going over this. Who knows, I might be done before dinner's ready, but if not, then this might become the longest video I've recorded, except for Doom. Now, Doom might be topped. Who knows? It really depends on how slacking I am when it comes to eating. And how much longer it will take for me to finish this. But yeah. Ooh-wee. Right, I forgot there's the other entire section of like anime types I really like. And I'm not good at names, so for manga names it's one of those I know it, but I forget. Like starting from start a town or something like that. Kind of like you can teleport between your world and another world, and you like develop. You develop everything, and like you make something that's like far more advanced than the world that you're in, and like yeah, that kind of one. The one I find that's very interesting. And then there's the other kind where it's like just civilization building, where it's like the starting from a mountain or something like that. It's probably one of my most favorites. I really like it. I like the character development. I like the idea. I think it's fun, and I like how it's very. It isn't centered on this like hero complex person. I really enjoy it, and I just think it's very nice. And it's one of those. They aren't a good. They're a literal bandit, right? They are a bandit, but they aren't one of those. You don't hate them as much as you probably should. It's one of those. They're more compasses off, but they aren't one of those you hate them. It would be like my what's a good example? Okay, I'm gonna use a very far example, which is like it definitely hits what I'm saying, but it doesn't mean you should agree with what I'm saying. But Thanos, yes, I said Thanos because like his idea, his opinion, right? It's one of those people can relate to it, right? It's not one of those. It's such an outrageous idea. Like it's not morally right, and it's like it's very wrong, and it's like yeah, but it's one of those people. There will be people which are they're like they can relate. Like they'll say no, you shouldn't do anything as extreme as what you're thinking, but they don't have this stupid hatred. Like why the hell are you like that? They understand it, and they just are like no, you're too extreme though. Like, let's go for a good example of like what I'm talking about for the too extreme is like anyone of the manga community. This like when it's like the villain that will constantly get in your way. It's just like a raging, bloodthirsty idiot. Where it's like their aim for revenge tops everything else in existence for some reason. Like they're so bloodthirsty to seek revenge that like nothing else matters, and you're like, but why? Does anyone like know that like there's quite a few where it's like you don't even have to get in the way anymore. Like you got you wanted, why do you need? It's like we're going to kill this specific person because they're living life so well, even though that they are not anymore, and they've lost all their family because of me. I've not done enough to ruin them, so I must do more mental damage to them, like those ones. Like it's very different, right? Because you just get tired when you're like, wow, look, they're trying to get revenge again. Oh, they sent us. Oh wow, look, wow, so cool. I'm enjoying this. And it's like there's no development at all. And like this has been a thing where it's like I say this, and at the same time I also it's a thing I regret, but at the same time I know for a fact, and I'm aware it's something I always go into. I like villains, so your antagonists that develop, change, improve, and stuff like that. And yes, the reason why I say it's one of those my opinions on it can be quite hard is because there are times where, because of that change, characters which I really liked have literally died and stuff like that. And it's like, it's the kind of thing where, because of things like that instant, it makes it harder for me to say yes to on it. But at the same time, I'm very aware of myself, and I'm very aware that I personally, I like it because I would rather it over someone who just stays being the same basic as bad guy that has no development whatsoever and is just always very, oh, like let's say using cuteness to say I'm the innocent princess, and like they're bullying me because I'm all innocent and I could never have done anything bad, and they just keep doing the same thing, and then it's like when it doesn't work they keep trying to use it and it doesn't work, and they just start getting more upset like why doesn't it work instead of changing. like trying to like hit more on people's sympathy in a different way, for example, or like changing how they try to manipulate. And like, yeah, I sound really bad at the moment for saying this, but like, I prefer those over they just keep getting more and more angry at why isn't the manipulating work anymore? Because I just think that's so boring, to be honest. It's just so boring. And yeah, yeah. It can be quite a shame because I like feel like there's so much potential in some of them, but I feel like it's just kind of ruined because no, not ruined. You still enjoy it, and it's a nice one, but yes, it feels sad that the villain was so dull. I feel like they could have done better. Like you loved watching the journey of the protagonist, but you feel like it could have been done better. And like sometimes I feel like when a misunderstood, like so like when you have a villain, like when let's say the ones where it's like you reconnect into a villain, you find out they had a really good reason, like they were abused as a child and stuff like that, and there's reasons why they were so as hard as they were, and it's like so they change. But in saying that, where it's the like who was meant to be like the heroine, I said that wrong. I know. Shh, no one needs to know. But like when they're that um it's just like one of those they would like change like because like they became evil and it's like when sometimes they can get retribution where it's like they have punishment but they change like at the end they had like let's say for example they became someone else and so the entire time they thought it's a game so obviously as I'm the main protagonist everything bends to my will but then like when they get defeated at the end they basically get a choice which makes it that they can, after finally opening, realizing they are no longer the protagonists and that the story is not bent to their will, the world does not exist for them, how they can finally improve. And it was like they were just very arrogant, and it wasn't like they were truly, no, they can be a pretty bad person, but they were never like bad. They were just very, yeah, they're arrogant. It's like, I don't know any other way of saying it. They're just extremely arrogant people. And like, yeah, I have a few which are like that. And I have a few where it's like, they are truly a villain, but like they're forgiven and they improve from it because of how nice the main person is and like yeah, that's cool too. I'm less favored to that for different reasons, being more. Sometimes I really love a good happy ending where everyone gets a happy ending, but at the same time, sometimes I prefer it when there isn't and there's at least some tragedy because then it feels like there's weight to everything I watched compared to worrying that a person gonna die when no one will ever die, where it's like everyone's immortal basically. Because like yeah, I feel like you lose so much tension when you learn like the idea. Oh no, there was no threat of anyone dying. You're like oh okay, this feels like a loss of what could have been very yeah, what could have been very yeah to be worried. Whereas like then when person actually dies or something really bad does happen, you're like, oh god, so it actually can go wrong. Like, because then your brain really starts believing that things can go wrong. It's not just there's not plot protection. Plot protection doesn't always exist, and I really like those which make it plot protection does not always exist. But then there's the ones where they really are like we refuse plot protection to a point they make it seem as if they their entire purpose of making the show is just to have the protagonist always suffer. They never have anything else except the suffering. I don't like those where it's solely that, but I like those where you know they don't have plot protection, you know they can die, so you know there is consequence. I also like the ones where protagonists, and like this is one I haven't seen one in a long time, and I think I've only seen like maybe only two. I'm only confident. There's only one I'm actually confident on hits what I'm thinking of, but at the very least, I can say that there's definitely one, I believe it's two, that has this, is when main characters actually die, and the main character completely changes to someone else. Like, and I think this is probably because it's hard to find them. They're very rare because it's like you don't drop a main character, like the main character. Normally doesn't just drop dead. But one of the examples is like the Viking one. The Viking one. I don't know how else to say it. My brain has stopped working. Apologies. But and it's one where it's like the main protagonist is, and I'm totally spoiling this, so anyone who hasn't seen the Viking one, if you can guess the name after and you're still listening, then it's your problem, not mine, because clear enough warning is that. And if you didn't figure it out, then well, it shouldn't be that much of a spoiler then, because it shouldn't really feel as connected. But yeah, and that one, how the main protagonist is actually the son, but like the entire like chunk in the start is always it is the of the father's perspective, and it's like you're just gobsmacked because you're like, no, he's the main character, he shouldn't die, no, and he did, and you feel you reject it because you're watching him. He was the main character you're watching. He's the reason you're watching, and you're like, how can you let him die? It's like ones like that. It's like it's rare. It's very rare. I don't even know if there's a category name for it, but I like those. No, I hate those and love them at the same time. I hate them because for that to occur, I need to lose a main character. But in saying that, it's one of those. I like them because one, they give people a wake-up call. That is a wake-up call on the idea. Consequences can happen just because it's like. I mean, this is meant for people to read, so they can't just have a main character die because they want to continue making money off of it and having a story that doesn't mean they're immune. Characters can still die. I like those wake-up calls, because I feel like those wake-up calls are needed. Because I feel like a lot of people are they kind of make fun of it to this point that it's like, he has blood protection, he'll never die. And then when they do die, it's like such a big hit to people. Because they basically cannot accept, like, what? How? How could he die? He's the main character. This doesn't make sense. And yeah, being blunt, yeah, seeing people like that, yeah, to be honest, it's actually pretty entertaining. Like, yeah, I know I shouldn't take entertainment in people being really sad that a character they really love died, but yeah. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not actually that sad about it. Okay. Sorry, I think I just hit my mic. Didn't mean to, just got an itchy nose. I don't think I'm gonna have this finished before dinner, and it's tragic. It's a tragedy for all those watching because they're going to have a silence period. So apologies in advance to all those impacted by that idea. Also to all those who see. Here's my opinion for why I think it's more justifiably okay. I went from never talking in these to having talked for basically the entire thing non-stop. So basically, I've talked more than I probably have in all of my other ones combined, to a certain extent at least. And so with that logic, you could in fact say that I have, by being silent and doing absolutely nothing, makes up for that impact. The only true downfall being how I'm going to be doing absolutely nothing, so it's going to be boring as hell for everyone watching, if anyone decides to watch for some reason. But I will, yeah, not editing this, refuse. And I refuse to stop the video. Just because I'm gonna go have dinner. Because I refuse to have two parts of this. Especially when it's clearly nearly done. I went silent, apologies. Just figuring out how I'm going to do this one. If there's any way for me to do it quicker. No, there's none. I'm doing it, I think I'm doing pretty well. It's just takes a while because one, it's the tool I have, and second, it's a cool ass structure, so I'm not going to really complain about it either. So, I wonder what everyone here's gonna do when I go to take my break. Please don't just stay here and listen to the silence, because I will be cutting my mic. I'll actually be actively taking my mic out just to make double sure that nothing will be heard. Not because anything confidential will be said, just because I feel incredibly uncomfortable with the idea. There's a chance that just my normal family conversations will be heard. Oh, my hand hurts. How long has this video been? Is this nearing the 2-hour mark? No, it can't be. Is it? I don't know. When do I start recording? No, I really wish I knew. No one this ends, but it'll be too late. Okay, nearing the end. Kinda, sort of. Not really. Hey, it's the right spot. Okay. I'm afraid dinner's about to be ready and I'm not done. It's close, but sadly not done. So yeah, I do apologize for how I'm going to do it. It's just, I can't bring myself to stop recording and do a super small part 2. And I also can't bring myself to just not eat dinner because we're doing HelloFresh, so yummy new dinner to try. I want to try it at its best to know if it's a good dish to have some other point as well to recreate. I can't do that if I'm not having it at its best, which is when it's done. I'm getting so close to finishing this, and it's like, there's a chance I'll be done before dinner's ready, but there's also a good chance I won't be. I really want to be. So I'm just hoping that they aren't actually that close and that I have time. But I don't believe that is the case. I believe they're nearing done. Okay. Clean it, clean it, clean it. Don't fall off and clean. Hmm. I'm nearing the end of it. But I think I hear a microwave, which means I think it's literally dinner. Okay. I'm getting so close to the end, and that's why I'm even more sad that I believe I won't make it. So much harder to clean these ones because they're on an edge. I hear the plates. Oh. Okay. Panicking more because I keep thinking dinner's just there, but it's not. But the biggest problem in my opinion is because of that I think I'm finally getting my hopes up that I can get done, and that's the second I truly get those hopes up is when I will have my hopes crushed. Which makes me wonder, do I get my hopes up or do I actively try not to? Because then I might be able to, but that's in its own right getting my hopes up. So I don't understand how I need to do it. No, 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 get back up, get back up. Huh. Okay, no, that's done. It's on to this. Where's there? Okay. Uh, Hello gang, I just got told that dinner is in fact ready, so I'm going to quickly try to get as much of this done as I can and then I'm gonna go. I apologize so much for this, abandoning you, but I cannot control it. I needed to get this done recording because I'm going to Pop's house for a thing that's happening later. And I need to get the videos, this one and the next one recorded before that, and we're leaving for the place tomorrow. So I just don't have time to record tomorrow, and I need to have them uploaded before I leave tomorrow. So because of that, I'm very, no, I need to hurry. And so this video is going to take a long time to load because there'll be the period where I'm AFK. But, yeah. Not like I can do anything about. Coming! Okay, well, oh, look out that area. Hope you all enjoy this. Yeah. Hello, I'm back. How's everyone? You're all good? You're all still alive? Apocalypse didn't occur while I was gone. You're all alive? I'm just gonna assume you're all alive and everyone's having happy days. Okay, so yeah, my stomach feels hurt because I scoffed the food. And the most tragic thing about that is even with doing all that and making my stomach feel bad, my dad still finished before me because he is legendary when it comes to eating quickly. But I wouldn't say he's the kind that can eat quickly for a competition's sake. I'll just say he just eats quickly. It's just how he lives. Oh yeah, if you hear burping, it's because I drank the milk too quickly and I have a lot of bubbles in my stomach and it somewhat hurts, to be honest. Right, I'm also getting better at like cutting the mic before I cough and stuff like that. Unless you guys heard me cough, which means that my mic has not been cut the entire time I ever do anything. But I just coughed. Wonder if anyone knew. You did know? Tell me. Tell me how. Okay. Okay, now I'm up here. I'm nearing the end, guys. Might have messed it up at the end though. Where did I start this? Where did I start cleaning? Oh no, I might have messed up at the end. On where I started cleaning. Because mostly every single time I start with the van. I'm nearly done. Oh my god. It would be real sad if like my headphones ain't reconnecting right and like if you can't hear me, it would be a very sad day for me, wouldn't it? Especially after all the effort I went to make sure I got done quickly. It would have been one of those I could have just eaten, like, because I had stuff like raw carrot, I could have just eaten that while playing. Because it wouldn't have been like I needed to talk or anything if you couldn't even hear me. Okay, last object is the gnome. Need to make sure I get as much of it from below as possible, so that I don't have to come back. Okay, done. Let's look. Yes, it was how I wanted it. I'm gonna watch it one more time because I like it so much. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. God, my hands, everything hurts. So, but yeah, I did it. Now we're done with the specials. We only have one last level now I'm going to do in free play. So, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Power Simulator. Until next time, humans, goodbye, humans.